is a soul path reading for the child. So I have not surrounded you in positive energy for the start of the reading. I don't know what crystal I'm using. Okay. So I'm going to do that in a second. Okay, I'm going to use the Jasper. All right. I'm going to feel that out. Okay, so I have a block coming up on the right shoulder right away. And I also have a guide coming up. And this feels like a really calm, very peaceful energy. Okay, which is explaining my my lepidolite here. I have a lepidolite, and that's like a very calming, soothing crystal. It also has to do with psychic abilities, but more in the way of like sleeping and the subconscious and trance-like states, stuff like that. And then I also have here my green fluorite. And this is another like really calming crystal, relaxing. And this is a heart chakra stone, but it has to do with like healing and calmer, more relaxed emotions, releasing stress. Okay, and then they're also even coming in with almost seeing how to do that. And like almost receiving instruction on how to do that. So stress is an issue that's coming up right away, and relaxing and detoxifying emotions. I think there might have been a little bit of something about that in your last reading, if I remember right. Yeah, because the lepidolite has to do, like I said, with like psychic information in the third eye. So they're saying that with the green fluorite, it's also having to do with how can you relax, and instructions on how to do that, or receiving like intuitive information about that. And then I have my pyramid here. And this is my Jasper pyramid, and it's very grounding. So it's kind of the opposite of the lepidolite up here, which is more like sleepy, dreamlike. It's like very physically grounding. So it brings like a very secure root chakra kind of energy. So as you can see right off, there's like this theme of balance just coming in with the crystals. There's a lot of balance. This is my tiger's eye Jasper. And this is like really good at cleansing the aura and protecting your aura and your space. And then it's also very grounding as well. But I also think of it as like a kind of still having to do with the third eye, just because it has this huge eye kind of looking thing on it. So there's a lot of balance coming in with those. And right away when this guide came up, I was almost getting a feeling like even though you ordered the soul path reading, that this is almost going to be a kind of slash meet your council member reading, because this definitely feels like they're coming in with like a master guide energy, and they're coming in with like in a very calm way, and they're, like I said, they're coming in with that idea like a meet your council member reading. So this is like this is your council member guide then. So this is like a master guide's energy. So you must be kind of connected to the Council for the Assistance to Earth then, and that idea. I know you've watched a lot of our videos and stuff like that. Um, Okay, so but the other thing is that this would be also confirming that you're a star seed then, if you're having this type of guide come in, because that's like specifically who they work with. Not all the time. They might, come to someone who's another being type or something like that. But they're more specifically when you have a guide from them. Obviously, specifically they're helping, Earth as a whole and all its inhabitants, like they say, even the non-human inhabitants. So they have a million different things going on that they're doing. But this is one of the things that they do. They specifically guide and help star seeds and some of the other being types that are coming in with a higher vibration, but specifically star seeds. So they're also saying that. So this is also a confirmation of that, of like a star seed type of energy coming in. And then there's some picture trying to come in for a second, which I'm not really sure exactly what it is, but looking like something humanoid, but definitely far from human, not really looking like a Nordic or something, not looking like something that would seem very human-like exactly, but still humanoid. I get a feeling of something that is kind of human-like, but still very different. So you can see certain features that would almost seem a little bit similar in some ways to a human. So it's not like when I get like an origin where the person looks humanoid but they look like a bird, or they look like a cat, or like some other type of animal or something. So there are like some human characteristics to it, but it's still very different. Like you wouldn't be able to um, come here looking like that and pass as a human, in other words. Okay, so let's get back to this. Okay, so I'm going to use my pyramid now. So I'm using my two grounding stones here that I have to do the to surround you in the positive energy, but also to clear these blocks that are coming up. And I'm definitely feeling my shoulder. But then I'm feeling my left shoulder too as I'm working on the blocks on the right side. I'm feeling the left as well. So some of this feels like chords. It feels like like chords. Shoulders tend to have to do with people who have come before us, so it tends to have to do with family, um, and like kind of generational beliefs, generational chords, things like this. So it can be like an ancestor, or it can be someone also who's living, but they were just ahead of you, like a parent or a grandparent or something. So now I'm coming over to the left side, and that too definitely has some like a lot of energy there that needs to be cleared. That's just kind of stored in the shoulders, and it's affecting other areas of the auric field. So this is energies coming from family and issues that like other family members have had that you've sort of ended up with. It's passed down to you. And also I get a feeling also that you've kind of stored it into your energy field empathically as well, that you've taken some of that on So this is answering one of the questions, I think, partially. They're giving me a feeling. Okay, so this is, some of this is having to do with question 4. Because they're basically saying, almost like, okay, like when you attract hardships, there has to be something in your auric field that is attracting that. It can be from past lives, it can be from a past trauma in this lifetime, but it's something in your auric field and it's releasing in some way, or it's some belief that you have, it's some energy that you have stored somewhere, and it's coming out. So your guides are saying that we're not always just meant to go through things. It's not always like every single thing is just destined and everything happens for a reason, like people say, in this way. I mean, you can give it a reason, but you still are creating things. You still have a choice as to what you allow to be created or what you don't allow to be created. So there could be something that you're meant to do and it's a sort of destiny and you don't fulfill it, or vice versa. So they're saying that it comes down to choice, but sometimes it's like a subconscious choice. You don't understand that you're choosing it, um, but on some level they're saying it's not even necessarily like on that level you consciously chose it. So not like consciously up here, but literally that part of you. They're saying it's not even that part of you necessarily wanted it. It's just like out of that energy that was stored there, it ended up attracting that. So it has to do with things in the auric field. But they're saying to almost kind of look back, and with some of the things anyway, they're saying like you can see where you've collected energies, where you've taken on certain characteristics or certain problems, or issues that other people in your family have had, and you're sort of acting out of some of those things or some of those characteristics. They're saying like it could be the way you speak or actions that you take or ways that you make your decisions. And so they're just saying that it's time to let that go, but they're also saying to evaluate that and let that go. They're even showing me like writing things down. So this is something to really, they're almost saying dwell on, but they're not saying in like a negative way, in like a way of like self-examination, to really do some self-evaluating. And they're saying and family evaluating. They're also sending me an energy like with your throat, like there's some kind of gift with your throat. So this could be something like it feels more like something like speaking. So it could be like speaking or singing, or even something like leadership. I am also feeling a sense of like leadership as well. There's a feeling of that, and pulling others to you in sort of that way. But I also feel like there's a feeling that almost can't be completely This energy that they're talking about, where you can almost gather people to you, or even other things towards you out of this energy, which is like a confident energy. Your throat has to do with willpower as well, and this specifically that they're talking about with leadership. It might be some other gifts as well, but they're specifically also saying this leadership thing, because like I said, throat chakra does have to do with your will and authority and things like that, which is obviously why you could speak out of that. Um, it's like this almost can't be fully accessed, and the way that they're saying this, like pulling something in towards yourself. Okay, so it's like there's this stuff in your field that can end up kind of attracting some things, but then at the same time, there is like other stuff in your field that would also block certain things from being gathered in, or energies that you would normally be able to access. So they're saying like you have a chakra here that would pull certain things in, but if it's blocked or clouded at all, um, that this would that this could prevent that, or to a degree at least, they're saying. And so they're saying it's like then the full potential isn't there, but also they're saying um, something as well about confidence. They're saying that your confidence in some ways is even not able to reach its full potential. Um, your ability at self mastery, they're saying in regards specifically to your emotions, where you feel confident, you feel clear, you feel like you can handle things, and where you can sort of step into this authority that they're saying is there and is a gift. But again, I'm feeling like the throat chakra might hold some other gifts too. So I'll just throw that out there. But this is the one that they're really focusing on. But I know the throat chakra, it's also like a creative center. And so if there are gifts there, sometimes throat chakra gifts, it has to do as well with like artistic abilities. So it's still a higher chakra and nearer to these ones. And so it's something that comes out in a more intuitive way, like an artist or something like that. So those are some other gifts that can tend to come up sometimes with a throat chakra. But they're specifically focusing on this specifically in speaking. Um, So there's this idea like speaking, singing, something with your vocal cords here, but also to do with, I'm going to assume speaking, because it's also to do with leadership and authority and sort of like willpower. And they're saying that this is blocked or cannot be fully accessed or harnessed. But they're saying that there's a lot of positive energy stored there. They're saying, but they're saying again, it's stored. So they're saying, like with positive energy, you don't want it to be stored. You want it to be able to move freely. And with negative energy, you as well don't want it to be stored. And they're saying hidden, hidden. They're specifically saying hidden. You don't want it to be stored and hidden in some vault somewhere. You want to open the vault, you want to open up the windows and the doors, and you want to let this escape and let it come out. And they're saying that this is the most important thing that you really need to know right now. So I still have this guide coming up. Okay, now I'm not sure if it moved or if that's a second guide here. Okay, I have two guides here, I think, but they feel kind of similar. Okay, but this one is not the council member. This one is the council member, but it feels like these two almost work together. Feels like this one is not even necessarily with you as like a permanent guide, this other one coming in. Or maybe, but it feels almost indirect. It feels like she's associated with this other guide that you have, this male one. And it almost feels like they come from the same place because they have a similar energy. And it was almost hard to, like, I could feel that she was female, but it was like a very subtle feeling that she was female. Like they felt very similar vibrationally. So they feel quite balanced. They don't feel like really, they don't feel really unbalanced. Which just fell. The Jasper. Yeah, put that over here. And they feel like they work together very easily and very well. But it feels like sometimes she just ends up helping you and it's sort of a tag along because he's there. And so you end up with these two that help you. Okay, but this is a council member too, it feels like. It's just she's not like specifically assigned to you. She just comes in sometimes with this person. Okay. And she just does things to sort of help you clear this out. And I don't know why she's using that word, almost like vomiting. But she's using this word almost like she's using it almost like as an expression. She's not meaning it in like a literal way, like but like these are literal toxins and it's like you have to like get them out. You have to get them out is what it feels like. But the way that you especially are going to be able to tune in to that vibration where those toxins aren't there, which is the way to remove them, is to just really work on getting in a calm, relaxed state and also, again, self-evaluating and realizing where does the stress come from. They're talking a lot about self-evaluating because it's like they want you to be aware of all of your states and what influences them, or they're saying specifically who influences them. because they're just saying not all this stuff is yours, and they're not really speaking like about thought forms. Like everybody has thought form beliefs that aren't theirs, but this is like literally like some person, and you've picked up on an energy from some like specific person, like a family member, but it's more than one. Whoa, okay, so there's some now some cords that they're showing me down the spine, and the back tends to have to do with like emotional support. And so that tends to have to do with like family and things like that. It can also even have to do with like finances, financial support, and that type of idea. But this is specifically feeling like even if you did have an issue in that area, it would probably be coming from this as well. So even with like other issues like that, like if you did have like a financial issue, for instance, I would say, or they would say, okay, who's had that before? There's this energy like that throughout the whole reading, like who has had that before you? Who else in your family has that around you? But especially somebody older than you. Like even if a brother or something had it, there's still this idea, like it's more like a parent, or like someone would have passed something down to them as well, in other words, if they were to pick up on that. um or it might just be their own issue, unlike you, but they're saying the point is it's better to go back to someone. So even if you notice something in common with like a family member who is like more like a sibling or something like that, um they're saying even if they're older, um, they're saying it's more of like something that's going to be passed down to you through like generations. And so even in that way, you'd have to say, okay, we have this similar thing in common, so who do we both get it from? Who do we both pick up on, in other words? Because they're saying in that case, it would just indicate a common source. So they're saying the source, that's what you have to get to. And they're saying that it can be a thought form. Obviously, this is all, um, false, false energies like this. They are in a sense created by thought forms, obviously, but it's just like, who did it come from? Who did the thought form come from? And they're saying that sometimes you don't even have to remove a thought form or a belief of your own. You just have to remove cords to these other people. And you need to be in a calm, relaxed state so that you can. And they're saying almost to like feel like a tree, and to get in a sort of state where you just are, and where you are relaxed and you are just being who you are and you're free. So like a child, they're saying, where you don't have all these cares and all these worries. And they're saying that you need to take more time to step into that role of, I am just me without anything external. And they're saying then that's going to help you um, sort of conquer some of these other issues, they're saying, and sort of it's almost like this sense of like conquering the external world. Like almost like you're going to be able to take charge of the external world more, basically. That's the idea of that. So yeah, they're saying to think of how a tree feels. How does a tree feel? And what is it harnessing? Why does it feel that way? So that's why you have these grounding stones, and that's why they were having me use these grounding stones specifically to do the clearing and to surround you in that energy. And then you also have this green fluorite here. That's very connected to a tree-like energy. And then the lepidolite is more like being in this very relaxed, calm state that will allow those blocks to release and allow your guides to release them. But this female guide, like I was saying, she just specifically comes in to almost as like a healer type of thing, or more like a remover in some ways to just help this flow more. Whereas he is like helping you in more areas because he's like literally assigned you as a master guide. So he's helping you with like a lot of spiritual areas and opening up to that more. Because when we get into master guides, it's not as much about mundane things, even though obviously it affects those things, or it can be like I'm looking at those things from a higher way. So it still has to do with those things, but differently. It's like you're moving up in vibration or moving up um, vibrationally in the way of how you perceive things, basically. Okay, so I had to take a little break in between this reading, but now I am back for the second part of the reading, and I now also have my Isis statue here, and I have drawn a rune that I was guided to pull. So this is Dagaz, which is basically breakthrough, awakening, and it has to do with shifts as well and shifts in your awakening. Okay, so right away your guides are reminding me of the lepidolite too. Okay, so I have a feeling they want to talk about I think this has to do with the question, yeah, your first question about your gifts and your abilities and how can you better access them. Okay, and they're saying they're going to cover other areas too. Yeah, even in the question you're saying gifts, abilities, talents. Okay. But they do want to talk about almost like psychically as well. So right away it's coming in that you're empathic. Okay, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to surround us using this rune. Surround us in some protective energy again for the next part of the reading. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and visualize you surrounded in positive energy as well. Ooh. I have a pain coming up in God, I do this right left thing. I do this all the time in these readings. I used to have it so bad. Now I don't do it anymore unless I'm doing a reading for some reason. Okay, right. Oh my gosh. That was so bad. My right, my right shoulder, or your right shoulder. Well, what? I have a pain coming up in my right shoulder, and it's a block in your right shoulder. Oh my goodness. Oh, okay, right. So they're reminding me, because I don't always remember information that comes through during readings. So this kind of feels like I'm just going into almost like a brand new reading if I take a break from it. Okay, so they're reminding me of these chords. That's right. There were blocks that were coming up in the shoulders during the first half of the reading. Okay. And then they're sending me a feeling of the hands. Oh, I haven't finished. They're sending me a feeling of the hands. And it's like if you have blocks in the shoulders, because the hands have to do with things that you're like putting out. It can be projects that you're working on. It can even have to do with like friends and connections, um, family connections, and just in general, like things that interest you or things that you are doing, or even yeah, they're right. They're saying, or even things that you're obtaining, or like you're manifesting. So things that you're receiving, or things that you're wanting to put out and manifest, and just in general, like energies that you want to put out. So they're reminding me of the throat chakra because the throat chakra kind of has to do with your will and your authority, and so it also has to do with like your willpower and even like your definition of yourself and who you are. Okay, so they're saying that if you have some definitions that are coming to you from family members, um, and even passed on family members, they're saying, like even if you didn't know them, if you have these, whoa, I have like a big thought form coming up all of a sudden. Something is not liking that. If you have like ties to like passed on family members, it's like even if you didn't know them, so even if it's like a few generations back, even if you didn't know them, you can still be like processing their blocks and things because you can still have their thought forms because thought forms tend to pass down in family. It's almost like in DNA, like a person could have a great grandmother who sang, and now they just happen to be able to sing too, because it's like this gift was passed down in the DNA, but also you can have thought forms and beliefs that were triggered by some event that some other family member had before you, and now it ends up yours, it ends up belonging to you, or like you identify with it even though it wasn't even something that came up for you or was triggered by you in that lifetime. Even if there was a trigger to almost owning the belief or identifying with it or like stepping into it, um, you, it's like you still didn't develop it on your own. It was basically given to you. I don't know why they're using that word given, because they're saying given. Um, because a gift is usually more of like a positive thing. But in other words, they're saying that you received it. So they don't mean that they're saying they don't mean that positively or negatively. They just mean neutrally, as in you received it. It was given to you. So you didn't create it. But again, they're saying this could be someone who's like really like passed on. Um, Okay, clearly they wanted me to say that again to feel that energy again. What is that? And this feels like something from I feel like you didn't know this person. I feel like this is an ancestor that like died before you were born. Like it's not someone that you even knew. And I don't feel like this is the ancestor. I just feel like this is this like thing with you. Oh, some of this has to do with ailments, physical ailments. Some of this has to do with um and this feels like a male, and I'm feeling my stomach. Okay, so I feel like I should keep holding this. Okay, so how does she remove this? Okay, so one thing that's coming in is that you are empathic. Because I'm getting this feeling from my Isis statue. I guess that's why she was there. Where like Isis, like I'm feeling her wings, almost like a protective energy, and like you need to protect your space more because things come to you from others. And that was actually like a gift, like an ability that came in right away, but then they moved on very quickly. So I didn't have a chance to say it, but in the part where I was saying something about gifts, abilities, they right away send me an energy of being an empath, that you're empathic. Okay, they're reminding me of the tree thing. That was something that came up earlier. Um, so they're saying that's also part of the reason why it's so important for you to ground and to center yourself. Okay, and so they're also saying that a lot of this like anxiety and stress and different things, this has to do with energies that you've picked up empathically. Okay, so I'm gonna put some other crystals up here. Uh, just put the jasper in my lap, otherwise it's gonna roll. Okay, I'm gonna put all of these up here. And this one on the floor here. As need to have a little bit more protection for this reading. So they're saying that it's very important to protect your space. They're also saying that once you let go, since this is a passed down thing, that once you let go of cords to other family members that are kind of closer down the line to you, and even some that you did know, mostly that you did know is the feeling that I get. And thought forms that came from them, emotional baggage that came from them, and they're saying even mental baggage in the way of beliefs. They're saying that once you do the self-examining like they were talking about, and you like sort of hone in on that and start to come to more conclusions or gather more ideas about where this could be coming from in an intuitive way. And they're showing me like a journal, and you're like writing this stuff out, writing it down. Okay, they're saying that then this process is going to speed up of getting rid of more of these things. Okay, I'm also feeling something with the heart chakra all of a sudden. They're showing me like a rose quartz, which I don't have here, but they're showing me a rose quartz. Okay, that's right, but I do have the green fluorite here on the floor. Okay, so I'm going to get this. Okay, so because this is a heart chakra stone. Okay, I'm getting a feeling right away that you should have some heart chakra stones. Okay, and also sacral chakra stones. And even the solar plexus as well. They're saying that these are the three areas that you need to really work on protecting. They're saying that it might seem like it's up here that you would need to protect, but they're saying that these humans that are sending you these things, it's more like lower things, and also just the fact that so it's more like lower energies, so not like higher chakra energies really, um, and sort of mundane emotional problems more, mundane thoughts regarding more like mundane things, or just general lower vibrational issues. Like they're saying like even they're showing me like addictions and things like that. They were showing me like smoking, so it's just like addictive habits and things like that. It doesn't have to be smoking. um that's just like they'll show me a picture to like say something, explain something. But also there are cords going into other chakras. I keep seeing that. And specifically with this one thought form here that I kept picking up on, there's a really big cord um, in the throat. Okay, and I know this has to do with ailments and things like that. So they're saying that if you're like speaking about your ailments in like a negative way, um, and like in negative things in general, like but especially like about your like things about your body, your health, and your body in general, even if it's like your appearance or something. It feels like anything in general related to the body, it almost feels like it's going to increase this thing, increase this energy. Like that's what it feeds off of. That's something that it feeds off of. So it doesn't so much feed off of like the result, like you feeling sick or something, or even you agreeing with it, or that what you've agreed with manifests. It's the fact that um, you agreed with it at all just by like saying something, or maybe even by thinking it and not negating it, or something where you're literally speaking about it or you're thinking about it. And they're saying especially with speaking about it, because that's more of an action to actually speak it. So it's almost like a manifested thought in a way, because it's a thought that literally pops out of your mouth as a full-blown sentence. And that just shows how much inwardly you're agreeing with it if you're going to pop it out and use it for a sentence. So they're saying that this thing gains energy by sending you something, and um, what it gains energy from is when you give a response. You reply, basically. It doesn't seem like you're replying, it seems like you're making your own statement. But with this thought form, it's more like you're saying, I'm agreeing with you, I'm agreeing with you. Because it's sending you this vibration and you're letting it out as a sentence, or a complete thought in your head. So they're saying like a complete sentence, like a full-blown sentence, or a complete thought, a full-blown thought. So it's not like you catch yourself in the middle, or even like you don't identify with it. They're saying there are ways to acknowledge something without identifying with it, and to feel like you can remove it, and you're going to. So they're saying it's when you slip into this emotion and this thought of like you can't, or it's just there and it's always there. And then this thing is collecting energy, and they're saying, and you're right, it is there and it's always there. and it's just going to continue to stay, and it's just going to keep getting bigger and bigger. And they're saying, and then you're just going to end up passing it down to other family members as well, and even other beliefs. It could be beliefs about body, um, even general appearance, and even like it can manifest differently. Since this is about health, there is something specific with this about the stomach, but other things with the body, it just feels more like what will you agree with, and it will send it and see what you'll agree with, and then it'll start gaining energy from that. And that's sort of a way that it almost starts branching off into new directions, new thoughts. What other thoughts can it think that you're going to agree with in this sort of realm of health and just the body? So physical appearance or physical strength. And they're saying they gave me a word like cardio, but they're saying like endurance, vitality, things like that. But they're saying this again, even appearance-based things, they're saying. So it's this sort of general thing. They're saying it started out more in like a centered way, more of a focused way, when it was younger, basically, when it wasn't as big. Um, but now it's bigger and it's branched out into other areas, which are just it just said, which all lie in the health and beauty department. They're saying it's all the area of health and beauty. So they're saying the health and beauty department. That it's just sort of taken up this. They're saying chunk of space or territory, like it owns this territory. So this is coming from someone else. They're saying, so you should ask about that too. And this definitely feels like a male, and it feels like someone who literally went down the line like this. So it doesn't feel like an uncle or an aunt or something. It feels like it would be like one of the great, I don't know how many greats, grandparents. I don't feel like it's way back, where you wouldn't be able to find it. And yeah, then there'd be no point even saying any of this. And who knows, if you would be able to get information about that, if someone would know something about that, if you fished around, asked someone who might know. Um, but they're saying that you know yourself, and that's what's really important. You know to negate this thing. And the only reason that they're bringing that up is because that's just an additional, I can say literally this family member, and I have their name, and I can just say it. This is this person's thing, not mine, and just sort of reclaim the space. But they're saying that you can do that without any additional information. You can do that without knowing the person. You can do that just by, they're saying, grounding and centering in yourself. But they are saying that this thing is very big and that it has a lot of like steam. Also that you've given it a lot of steam, but not just you. It feels like other people have given this thing steam as well. But this is sort of like a copy. Um, it's like when it passes down to someone else, it's almost like the original. Yeah, what the council calls this is an imprint. So it's like it imprints itself, and now there's this new thought form, but it's literally like a mirror image of this other one. So it's basically like a replica of it when it passes down. So it can end up evolving a little bit differently than the other one did. So in other words, you can end up identifying with it in a new way or in a different way. So they're saying, so in that sense, you're creating it, but they're still saying not really. You weren't the like original source. And this is just something that was imprinted onto you. They're saying that's why it's so important to get rid of these cords. That these cords, they're saying that these cords are a big deal. That they, like they produce habits and just sort of, in a lot of ways you operate out of them. That you're thinking that you identify with. So you wouldn't necessarily think this is coming from another person. They're saying that's why it's so important to self-evaluate. They're saying that they really can't go into question 2. They can talk about question 1, the gifts and all, but they can't really talk about question 2, your purpose and how do you fulfill that and stuff. Because they're saying that right now, what you're learning, and that this is your purpose at this point. They're saying what you're learning is what's yours. That's what they're saying. What you're learning is what is yours. How to value what is yours and how to store what's yours, how to keep it safe, how to keep it hidden and locked away, and it's yours. And so it can't be taken, your energy can't be taken, your energy can't be stolen, or they're saying like vamped. But also they're saying you can't receive things. And they're saying that's knowing what is yours. To also know what is not yours. They're saying that it is also important to clear the higher chakras and to really get those going and functioning so that you can use, so that you can receive more information that you can use, so that you can gather more intuitive information. And they're saying that your guides are going to speak to you in various ways, where things are just going to come to you. They're saying it doesn't have to be like flat out speaking to you during like meditation and something. It can come to you in other ways. But they are saying that you should be relaxed. They're saying like even if you're excited, it shouldn't be in like an anxious way. There still needs to be, they're saying there still needs to be a relaxment there. I don't think that's actually a word. My guides do that too. Just make up words. So that's also part of the reason that the lepidolite is here. But they're saying that you don't really need a stone to clear this. Part of it is just relaxing. Also, part of it is that as you continue using it, whatever does come to you, whatever information does come to you about what needs to clear, how you can remove it, the source of it, where does it come from, which family member did I get this from, like they were saying. So as you're listening to that, your chakras are just going to expand up here and they're naturally going to start clearing themselves. But they're saying this throat thing again, and I'm feeling that thought form again. So this cord is a big issue because this has to do with, it keeps coming in. Like I said, like I said, the throat chakra can have to do with almost your sense of self. I'm feeling the solar plexus too, and they're saying that the solar plexus can too. And I do feel like there's a cord there too, but I feel like it goes to some other family member. And it feels like a living family member. And there might even be multiple ones there, actually. So it doesn't feel like I can just say one family member and sort of point you in a direction with that. It feels like, again, You have to go within and you have to gather information. Um, and then again, this sacral chakra, um, the root chakra. They're saying that it kind of goes down the spine. I see the legs too, but I don't see as many. It's more going into these main chakras, but then um, it's affecting other chakras, and like the legs, the feet, the arms, the hands. Um, just like they were showing me that the shoulders, if they're really blocked up, then the energy isn't going to pass to the hands as easily. So you're not going to be able to manifest things as well. Feet tend to do with path. And so that's part of the reason why this is, but um, that's part of the reason why they wouldn't say anything else really about path right now. But also, like, this is part of your path, though, they're saying, to see who you are, to really begin to step into your own um, sort of willpower and your true power and your center. And they're saying, like, um, your divine essence and knowing who you are. They're saying that's a goal, to identify only with yourself, and they're saying that that's a hard thing on the earth plane, and also that is a rare thing. You don't find that generally in the general public. You do not find someone who is identifying solely with their self. They're saying that you really don't find. They're saying it would be extremely, extremely hard to find anyone who solely identifies with themselves, unless it's like an alien or something. So a human, they're saying, um, there's a feeling almost like I doubt that there is one who is identifying only with themselves. Because they're saying even things like dying and things like that, that's an identity, that's something that all humans go through, and assume that it's extremely natural, and it's extremely natural to go through, which is why they go through it. So they're saying, so if bigger things like that are an issue, then there's going to be all these various smaller things that an individual can identify with and think that it's their own. And they're saying that's what it means to have an identity. Yeah, and this is like the council always teaches levels of thought forms. They always say there's 3 levels, and the third one is an identity. There's a belief, and then there's a pattern that you're in, and then there's an identity. And so that means that you own it, and you operate out of it, just assuming that it's yours, like you've taken it on, basically. You've adopted its energy, or its way of perceiving something, its way of operating. They're saying, or in a sense, its way of being in an area. So it's almost like it kind of occupies an area. It's saying that it doesn't have to do it fully. You can occupy the space as well. But it can still be an identity where you own it. You think that the belief is the belief and the pattern. It's yours. So you identify with it. So they're saying that you've been identifying with this ailment that isn't yours. I actually get the feeling that it's actually kind of multiple ones. Appearance is coming up again. Something with appearance. And I think there was something. I think you did say something about that in the first reading, and I'm just not remembering it. something like blemishes or acne or something. I would not have thought of that. I totally forgot about that. As like I said, I forget so many things from readings, and that was like a while ago. But yeah, they're reminding me of that. So there is like an appearance thing as well. Okay, so this is, but again, they're saying it's connected to the throat. It's connected to the throat. But it has to do with identifying with yourself, who you are. They're saying that you could try to remove it by doing a cord cutting, but they're saying that that won't remove it. The cord is still going to be there. Even if you're visualizing yourself cutting cords, they're saying you might end up cutting some lesser ones to other people or to other thought forms, but they're saying that you're not going to be cutting this one because they're saying that it's almost like you identify with it, you have identified with it too much, given it too much energy. So they're saying like given it too much stability where it's there. And so they're saying that it wouldn't be something simple. It would be literally altering your perspective and identifying with it less and less, identifying with its voice less and less, basically, and doing things to help yourself improve, they're saying, in a natural way, and to harness relaxation through meditation. And they're saying opening up the chakras and then just seeing them releasing anything, even cords, releasing cords. They're saying also thinking about how you give in to family members, maybe even the way that you give in to them in a negative way, they're saying. I don't know why they're saying maybe, but they're saying maybe that too is connected to this. Okay, I'm getting the feeling almost like they want you to almost think about that. That might be linked as well. Ways that you give in or areas where you aren't setting so many boundaries or you aren't setting a firm boundary. Those are all things to think about too, because they're saying that you're empathic, and so if you don't set boundaries properly, then you're bound to be open to an energy that you don't prefer. And they're saying that meditating is very important, but they're saying with visualizations. They're saying that that is a step that's really important. Again, they're showing me this writing things down. Self-evaluating, that's also part of why meditation is important, but they're saying that also just meditating throughout the day, which just means sustaining a relaxed vibration, sustaining a relaxed frequency. This means sustaining a higher frequency, they're saying. Eating clean foods, which, yeah, I think that came up in the last reading. They're saying exercise, the breathing. They're saying that these are all important things. They're also saying being free, and they're showing me like children and to think like children. Yeah, okay, they're saying that that's a theme for the readings, right, because of the code name. And they're saying like the way that children just look up at the sky and they imagine things and they play. So they're saying that you need to have you time, or that you can spend alone, or that you can spend with individuals or even a group that helps you to have self-value in the way of taking time for yourself where you relax and let loose and you can play. So if it's going along with that, then that's fine. So you don't always have to be alone with that. They're saying, in fact, sometimes it's easier to play like with a group or with another person to relax and let go and play. They're saying like let your hair down. And just kick back and relax. So even if things are stressful, like career or work is stressful, or like the way that you make money, or just they're saying general things in life and people that you have to take care of, and or even like younger people, if there are younger people that you have to take care of, or older people, or just situations, they're saying. So just people that you have to take care of. But this can be in different ways, they're saying, or people that you haven't set a boundary with, people that you have to take care of emotionally, they're saying, where you end up empathically picking up on them. So they're saying the thing about stones to use again. So heart chakra and the solar plexus and the sacral would be good. They're also saying, so they're bringing that up again because they want to get into almost how to use the stones. They're also saying that wearing something like around your throat, but also that's near it, where it doesn't hang down really far, but it's a little bit closer to your actual throat. And they're saying that it should be like a light blue color. They're saying it can be any stone that you feel drawn to, but it should be a light blue color. But also specifically, I'm seeing like a pendulum type of shape. So like a crystal shard that hangs down in like a very small wand shape, basically. Because they're basically saying that that's gonna almost get in there and like help to spin this chakra and remove things from the chakra. So they're even saying that the shape is important. So they're saying that you want to have it pointing down, because when you have it pointing down, that tends to symbolize that you're cutting through something, so you're clearing something. Whereas a circle is more like you're including something, or you're opening something up. You're opening up a passageway. You're allowing something to manifest. So they're saying that even different shapes are important for what you want a certain crystal to do, they're saying. If you want it to clear something, then they're saying it needs to either be pointing straight down, or they're showing me even like some other shape, like a star, or they showed me like an airplane as a for instance. It's not a straight up and down shape, but it has all these points coming out. But for this, I feel like it should be one point, just going straight down. They're also saying like the thing about a star is it has both. It does have a kind of like a circle in the middle, not exactly, more like a stop sign kind of shape in the middle. But then it still has these jagged lines coming out of it. So almost like a sun, kind of, they're saying. It has the rays coming out of the side. It also has a circle on the inside. So they're saying that can be doing two different things at once. They're saying that can be helping to open a chakra to positivity and close it to something negative. They're saying something negative coming towards it. but open up so that it can manifest something outwardly. So they're saying that there are different things that you can do even with shapes, even to be conscious of the shape of it for what you want it to do. They keep saying that it's good to hold them in your hands. But specifically for almost like balancing, because they're even showing me almost like Chinese balls. I don't know if they're called I Ching balls, or I'm not sure, but they have like the little bells inside of them, and you hold them and you spin them, and they're for balancing. But they're saying that it doesn't have to be that. Actually, they're saying that they would prefer a crystal, but the reason that they're bringing that up is because it should be helping you to balance something. So they're saying that you could choose a crystal, like research it, see what crystals are good for like balance, or they're saying, or even relaxing. That's another thing, and that produces balance. They're saying, but they're saying it could be a crystal that's just good for that in general, or they're saying it could be literally two, like opposite types of crystals, like these, like you have the, you have a very grounding crystal like this pyramid here, and then you have a very higher chakra, almost sleepy, dreamy kind of crystal like the lepidolite here. So they're saying it could be that as well. Or they're saying even something like it could be a white crystal and a black crystal. They're saying just something to get across this idea of, polar opposites and balancing, or just general balancing. They're just good at producing a balancing and calming effect. They're also showing me you placing them on your feet. You can also lay down and just put several crystals on yourself, or have someone else lay several crystals on yourself. They're even showing me the rune again, even that. But runes, crystals are a little easier to get. You don't have to buy a whole set. But runes, if you feel to, because they're saying that runes do speak something over you. They're saying even more so on their own. Like they're saying a crystal, it will work for you automatically and it will work with you. But they're saying that it's better to almost contact the crystal. Like it's better to say, hey, lepidolite, I want to clear this. Can you help me with that now? And feel an energy from it, and then put it wherever, because they're saying then it knows what you want it to do. Like basically the soul in the stone, it knows what you're wanting. Then it can work with you to really produce that effect the best, the most optimally, they're saying. So they're saying that it's best to contact the crystal. With a rune, it's literally like a letter on the stone, and so it's like already speaking something. Anyway, yeah, that's true. They're saying also runes are sometimes, they're almost more close to contact, or it takes you because the rune, it represents like an actual entity, and it's like the letter represents this entity, and it sort of calls it to the stone that it's placed on. And then at the same time, it's like there's this concept that the rune itself is the entity. So it's sort of speaking in general, but with that, it can be like other deities. You can call it, and it will come perhaps, depending on the deity that it is, it will most likely come. But until you develop like a relationship with it, it's not going to help you just as optimally. It will help you more the more that you increase your relationship with it, and the more that you continue to call upon it. They're saying just like this thought form, it grows more and it affects you more, the more that you place your intention to what it's sending you, and the more that you give into it in that way. So they're saying it's the same sort of concept. They're saying even like with manifesting something, some things will just come like that because you thought it a single time. And they're saying hopefully not a bad thing. They're saying that's why you have to be careful of what you are expressing. And they're saying not like, all bad things are just going to come because you say one word. Like, the point they're saying is relaxing, so they don't want you to like freak out about that. That's just a point that they're making again, to really evaluate your thoughts, before they just pop out into sentences. And if they do pop out, catch them, realize. And they're saying that it doesn't mean deny them. It doesn't mean, oh no, I'm not feeling that. Because they're saying that can have the opposite effect, that's more of like a fear thing, and it's more like a shove it away or deny it. This is more, the approach they would want you to take is more, just not denying that it's there. It's like, yes, this is sending this to me. Yes, I have agreed with this, or I have experienced this, and I may be experiencing the illusion of sensing it now, but it is just this thought form. And it is not coming from me, basically. So they're saying that you can acknowledge, what is happening, what you are sensing, without being negative about it, without giving power to it. Or they're saying, or you can look at it in a negative way and feel like you have no power, and then in a sense, it's like all powerful. It's the one that has the power. It's what you're giving your power to. They're saying not true power, but illusionary power. Illusional. I knew that. I was like, what's illusionary? Illusional power. So they're saying that those are things to evaluate. Those are things to keep in mind. But they're saying that this is going to take like a lot of work, and that's part of your path. That's part of the path. And they're saying that the path leads to somewhere else, and there might be other ways that you end up incorporating to remove these things, to remove these habits. And they're saying that this is a process. It's a path. And they're saying even if it takes a long time to clear it, they're saying it doesn't mean that you're going to be stuck for years and years just doing this. They're saying, but they're saying it's as you clear certain areas, they're saying significantly, and other areas as well to lesser degrees. As you continue doing that, they're saying you are rewarded, because things are able to flow through you more easily. So you're able to access more, like receive more of the things that you would want to put out. Your hands are less blocked. You can manifest more easily. Your hands are less blocked. You can receive more. Your feet are less blocked. You can know what the next part of your path is. Because feet really have to do with path. Your knees are less blocked. so you can experience more shifts, which they're saying also has to do with awakening as well, and perception, even though it's on your knees, not up here. Still, knees have to do with bending and being flexible and adaptive, and also shifting values, shifting beliefs, shifting perspectives, and so awakening as well, or breakthrough. They're saying that this is also something that is influenced by chakras in the knees. And I know part of the reason that they're saying this is because they did show me earlier a cord in one of the knees, and I feel like it's in both. I feel like there's a cord in both, and it looked like it was in the back. Yeah, because the back a lot of the times has to do with support. And it's more of like a dependent thing, where the front is a more independent thing. It has more to do with what you're putting out, or like the expression of who you are, not like what's behind you, what's supporting you, what's giving you support. This is more like what you're putting out, your self-worth, your time, your efforts, your achievements. Those are more here on the front of the body. But they're saying, since this is stuff that you are receiving, it has to do with it's more of a receptive thing. You're on more of the receiving angle of it. They're saying that most of the cords are going to be in the back. And they're saying that you might have some in the front because they'll affect things that have to do more with those things that I was speaking about. They have to do more with something that the front of the body represents more than the back. But they're saying for the most part, all these cords are going to be on the back. So they're saying that this is a good way to be able to find them. Because they're saying that even with visualizations, you can clear some of them and you will feel shifts. Or they're saying that you can even go to a cord clearer, like one time, and have a session, and that you might feel a shift from that as well, or you might even feel multiple shifts from that as well. Only because they sort of know what they're doing. They're sort of used to doing that kind of thing. But they're saying that it doesn't take a lot really to clear a cord. They're saying that the reason that that's good sometimes is because it's another angle. It's someone else intuitively giving you advice and things. But they're also saying, but obviously you'd have to find the right person. And they are also saying that usually the right person is just right in front of you when you're looking in the mirror. It's just yourself. But they're saying that outside things can help, just like the crystals, they're saying. And they are saying that you're going to be drawn to other things. They're even showing me like a book. It could be information that literally comes to you from something that you read or something. It doesn't even have to be a physical person. So they're saying that they're going to be giving you a lot of different signs and things like that. The main gift that they really wanted to go into was this empathy thing. So that's why they haven't really talked about others, as I know they were saying they were going to get into that, but I feel like it was really more just this one that they wanted to talk about. But as far as how do you access your gifts and how do you find them and let them out to their full potential and be like confident in them and remove self-doubt, is by owning them, knowing who you are, and then your purpose will come, because they're saying that that's part of your path. That's part of your path. And they're saying that you're already fulfilling part of your purpose. They're saying just by looking at this, self-evaluating, like they've been saying, using the crystals and other tools that they are giving you during both of these readings. They talked a lot about different techniques and like again, like they were saying, outside tools like physical tools that you can use. Okay, so that concludes our reading. So thank you very much, the child, for allowing me to do another reading for you, and I truly hope that this benefits you. As always, namaste.